Hi, Genki Call here with your Soulforge offerings for the week of April 3rd, 2023. Take two. I messed up the other one. Alright, let's go over this again. Starting with the Legendaries, we've got Orion. He does a range of damage to an enemy and Huntress marks them. Gain 5 magic. The only thing significant about this troop is the third trait, which is a 75% chance to do true damage with skulls. When you add that with the Hunter's Mark, it's pretty powerful, but you have to cast in order to get the Hunter's Mark, unless it's already Hunter's Marked. But this is the only troop in the game with a 75% chance to do true damage with skulls. The only one with a higher percentage is the Lord of Slaughter, and that's 100%, but he's also a mythic and he rocks so much harder than this thing. Anyway, I don't recommend crafting this guy. Next up for Legendaries, we have Lust, whom I absolutely hate. She charms an enemy, 40% chance to transform your enemy into something that will kill you with charm. The Incubus will charm your team twice. I hate being charmed. I don't like my own team killing me. It just sucks. Plus, the transform is going to help the enemy team. The only good thing about Lust is to use her for her third trait, which is to charm a random enemy when an ally dies. Now, people generally only use this on their PvP teams, and by the way, if you're running a double Lust team, I will not fight your team. I would rather spend gems to re-roll than to fight your PvP team if you're using double Lust. So, meh. None of that for me. Next up for Legendaries, we have King Avalorn. He does do damage to all enemies if you're using elves and or elementals or beasts. You're gonna get this extra damage, which is fantastic, and he summons. However, the thing that's really significant about King Avalorn, besides the fact that he's quite good looking, is the 50% mana start for elves. People like to run him with Lamashtu and an elf class. Plus, Arachnean Weaver, which somehow is an elf. I don't know how they worked that out, but apparently he's an elf. So it's a really good team. If you want more information on which classes will make you an elf, I'll link in a video at the end that tells you about the classes. And just look at the description of it. It has all the information typed out in the description of that video. Alright, Despond. I actually really like this troop because he does damage to an enemy equal to their attack, then same damage to all the enemies above them. I'll tell you what I like about this. You hit the bottom troop, it hits the entire enemy team, and if you have them fairy fired, it does apply, and it will do an extra 50% damage. Wahaha! Love that. Plus, you can go around Submerge this way. It is technically not an area of effect spell because it targets one troop. It'll hit the entire team if you hit the bottom troop, but technically it's not AoE, so it will go around Submerge. Also, drain 3 mana from a random enemy when matching 4+ gems. He's impervious, blows up a blue gem at the start of battle. So let's go over the mythics now. We've got Yasmin's Chosen. You know, I think she's a little underrated. She does scatter damage, which is not a great amount of scatter damage. Boosted by entangled enemies, an extra 10 damage per entangled enemy, and creates 10 green gems, meaning if you've got green on the board, you can loop and loop and loop with this gal. Plus, she entangles a random enemy anytime you match green, and you're creating green, so you're going to have the entire enemy team entangled, which is great to run with Cannonbomb, who does triple skull damage to entangled enemies. Maybe run with Writhing Staff or something that creates skulls. You've got a really nice team there. Next up is Phoenicia. Ah, my favorite girl, Phoenicia. I do love her. Now, I've done a Mythic Spotlight on Phoenicia. I've done a team using Magma Dragon, my favorite Phoenicia team for everything. So I'm not going to go heavily into her information, but she does do damage to all enemies, boosted by red gems and burning enemies. If there's a firestorm, deal double damage, so you can run her with either Magma Dragon or Tink's Steam Whistle to get that firestorm. A persistent firestorm, or just run her with Sunspear class if you're still leveling that one. Also has a 50% chance to burn a random enemy at the start of the turn, which boosts her double damage. She's just fantastic. Of course, If you have a lower, if you have a lower magic, she's not going to do as much damage. So check out that mythic spotlight on her that I'll link in at the end. Last 15 seconds of the video, as always. Um, if you want more information on why you should or should not think about crafting Phoenicia. While I'm thinking about it, there will be a link to King Ollie's list of remaining Soulforge mythics in the description box below. Next up, we have Flaming Oni, also very good. If you're thinking that you might lose troops, this is a great one to repopulate your board. He can loop, he explodes green gems, gets an extra turn, also converts 2 red gems to burning gems at the start of the turn, which means if you have something that can immediately blow up the board, like, Leprechaun, you're immediately going to get burn on the entire enemy team, unless, of course, they're immune. And then you can have spells or skull damage that are boosted by that burn. For instance, Fireblade, or troops that get that extra damage on skulls and or spells for the burning enemies. So next up we have Aquaria. Aquaria, I believe this is the first time Aquaria has been in the Soulforge. Splash damage to 3 random... Maybe not. I can't remember. Anyway, splash damage to 3 random enemies boosted by submerged allies. You can get a max of extra 12 damage off of the submerge, but he only submerges himself, so you'd have to have something else with you to do that submerge to, I don't know. Aquarius, oh, schnitzel, what's her name?
Aquaticus.
Aquaticus, thank you. Aquaticus all around seems like a much better troop as far as mythics go. Does something similar. He does do splash damage to 3 random enemies, which is great, but I don't have Aquaticus yet, so I can't put them side by side at this moment. But I'm going to say, unless you just have to have a mythic for Nexus, you have to pass on this guy for now. Next up, that is it. We have weapons. No, yes, weapons. Weapons! Alright, so don't get weapon blocked on your power levels. It is the hardest counter to getting your power levels up. You can randomly pull mythics, you can randomly get the pets. You can't randomly get the weapons. So if you're looking to keep from getting mana blocked, try to at least spend 75 diamonds and get an extra weapon or two. There will be a weapon tomorrow during... Wait, what day of the week is today? Today's Tuesday. Today! Today! There, today. Okay, that's why the mirror orb is in the forge right now. Okay, let me go over this real quickly. 45 damage to the last enemy and silences them. It also will drain a little mana from the first enemy and freeze them, and I don't remember what Angelic does, but you know, it's a nice cheap weapon for the kingdom, as is Frost Staff. Frost Staff will do damage to an enemy double if there's an ice storm and creates an ice storm. You know, if you run it with Scotty, he will give you a persistent ice storm. That's, for me, that's 100 damage each cast, which is pretty good, really, except that it only hits one enemy, but still, it's a nice amount of damage. Next up, we have Glacial Crystal. This is damage to an enemy boosted by Glacial Peaks allies. I tend not to run with a Glacial Peaks team. I am not that fond of the team choices we have there, the troop choices, but it does have a nice boost to blue and purple gems if you have an entirely Glacial Peaks team. Next up is the Doom statue, which I did craft, even though I'll never use it, because I am weapon blocked at Glacial Peaks right now. You have to have 12 weapons for the power level to go up. It's the only thing I need. I still need 1 weapon, even though I crafted this. Now, generally speaking, I don't recommend crafting Dooms, except for the Doom Skull creating ones, because they're so expensive to get leveled to temper. You have to have Forge Scrolls for that, and there's only 2 ways to get them leveled up. Do the Tower of Doom events. We have one coming up next week. The Tower of Doom with the right color, and it's super expensive to buy all the tiers to get all those forge scrolls or find the orbs of forging. There is that option now. Next up, we have the Mirror Orb, which is only here today. This is the faction weapon. I don't recommend crafting this. Just go into the faction assault if it's still Tuesday and get it in the faction assault for gems instead of diamonds. But this will give reflect to an ally plus life boosted by my life. That's quite a lot of life, especially in a delve setting. But that reflect can insta kill. If you have an insta kill like Deathmark, or you happen to get the Assassin Rising Shadows trait or anything that insta kills, even if they only have a few points, it's still going to insta kill off of the reflect. So, yeah, I don't like that glitch. Anyway, Chalice of the Peaks, another 75 diamond one. Remove all blue gems. You will get a boost to your spell damage off of those blue gems, but you won't get any mana out of it. You'll just deny it to your enemy. And if the enemy's from Glacial Peaks or the battles in Glacial Peaks, deal double damage. Now for the ones I love. I love Arboreal Crystal. Arboreal Crystal explodes green gems, plus the random status effect and the summons, and creates a leaf storm. The other one is Ice Sapphire, which I run with my favorite Picea team. This one explodes blue gems and creates an ice storm plus the summons status effect thing. So if you're going to craft something in here weapons wise, I would create one of these depending on your what you're going for. Most people would want to go for Arboreal Crystal because people actually use elementals a lot. But you can check out the video at the end. In the last 15 seconds, my Picea team will be listed there, and you can see how I use the Ice Sapphire, and maybe that will help you decide. Anyway, that is it for this Soulforge video. Take two! And I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye!